This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Good Monday morning to all of you wonderful sports fans. It is week 3 of the NFL season. I've already lost my mind. People in Cleveland are preaching for Johnny Manziel to come back.
We'll get into that. But I agree with them.
Honestly, and people in Seattle were like, oh, right, we know how to play football.
Against the Chicago Bears.
Oh, wait, so they still don't know how to play football.
They didn't look too good first half.
Anybody can beat the Bears. Come on, Grant.
Come on. They punted 10 times yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
10 times.
Well, we're going to get into all of that crazy stuff, but welcome inside the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Remember, you can get us right here Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live right here on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. Good morning to all of you watching on Periscope. Thank you for all the wonderful hearts that continue to just come pouring in. Some of our watchers are a little bit more dedicated with the hearts than others. So.
See, my computer screen blocks that part of the... Like, the camera can see me, but I can't see part of the screen, so I just lean over and I just see flood of hearts.
We appreciate
People
it.
are nuts.
We appreciate the love, so thank you guys. Aside from also catching us here on Periscope and Spreaker, you can also get us from 11 to 1 p.m. Central on Sports Radio America and sportsradioamerica.com, live 365, and tune in. And then on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. We are also on Twitter and Instagram at BG Sports Show. Baxter is on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Grant's Rant BGSS.
And if you ever want to shoot us an email or get a hold of the show or just talk about a possible appearance on the show, you can also email us at bgsportshow@gmail.com. A lot of exciting things to talk about here on the show. We will have Grant's Rant a little bit later on in the show. Zach Wiener of the Sports Quotient will be joining us as well. For those of you that listen to the show, you know we do different articles from the Sports Quotient or do some of their quizzes as well.
They're cool.
So we'll be talking with the
people.
CEO of the Sports Quotient in our third segment, so you're not going to want to miss that as well. Grant, the NFL was an interesting week so far, and there's still one game left to be played, the Green Bay Packers.
The most important game.
Yes,
well, okay,
is.
So here's the thing about just the NFL and the boring NFL, like how sometimes it can be. Like, even though it's football, the 3 o'clock games, they were really boring. Like, I watched the Bears game for a while, and I'm like, because I wanted to see how the Bears were doing.
Okay.
And we'll get into the Bears. Because people are giving the Bears some heavy crap when they're actually not doing too bad. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
Yes.
But, so I'm sitting there watching the Bear game. It's like, whatever, like plus 20-0 by this point. And I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. So let me see what other games are on.
Of course.
So I'm like, and I look what the scores are, check in to see what game I should flip on, and I'm like, it's all like 20-plus points game across the board for any game that's going on.
It was
right
bad.
Now. Even
very
so,
bad.
the first, the 12 o'clock games, there was like a couple crazy fourth quarters, but then after the 3 o'clock games, I'm like, oh, so this is pretty boring.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I mean, as I was listening to the scores, because I was at a wedding all day yesterday for my sister-in-law and now my new wonderful brother-in-law. You're married. What do you mean, you married? We're both married. Oh, my gosh. I know. I was at a wedding all day and didn't have access to my phone because we were down in this beautiful valley up by the La Crosse area, but it was literally like in a valley. Like I'd had to shot up a flare to get an NFL game signal shot back to me. But I was getting small updates occasionally, depending on my fantasy team. But yeah, I was listening to it, and then I got to listen to the Broncos-Lions game all the way home last night on the drive.
Cool.
And listening to the scores, I was like, well, I'm glad. I guess I didn't miss much.
Yeah,
but,
there was some.
Some of the games I would have like, well, that'd have been a fun game to watch.
Yeah,
but
the Texans finally won.
If you're a Texans
first game.
fan, I'll be honest, I picked the Buccaneers to win that game, so I was a little surprised that game went the way it did.
I kind of did too, but we're not going to talk about that to the Texans fan that just commented.
Exactly.
On
so congratulations, Texans! You got your first win. It's against the Buccaneers, so take it for what it is.
Kind of looking throughout the week. On Thursday night, we all know how that went. Giants beat the Redskins by a score of 32-21. We already talked about that game.
Yep.
So moving on, the Falcons took on the Tony Romo-less Cowboys, and the Falcons mounted a pretty decent comeback, not quarterback. I was thinking of Tony Romo. A decent comeback in the fourth quarter, scoring 14 points. So
it was quite the interesting game from what I saw.
Great comeback.
I don't feel like Brandon Weeden played terrible. He went 22 of 26. He threw an interception, but still, that's not an awful first outing, for the season to not complete 4 out of your 26 passes attempted.
And people commenting on Periscope asking about the MLB playoffs. We will be getting to that in a couple segments, so just stay with us. Moving on from the Falcons-Cowboys game, the Colts finally with a win over the Tennessee Titans, making it close. What's going on with those guys, Baxter?
In all honesty, Andrew Luck, when you continue to throw interceptions, obviously I hate to sound like John Madden, but the more interceptions you throw, Grant, the less chance you have of winning the game. But
and the more
that's really what it's coming down to, because first of all, Frank Gore, 86 yards on the ground yesterday. Their punter had 18 rushing yards yesterday.
That's LOL status.
Good for Pat McAfee, though. I'm excited for him.
That's hilarious.
That's a little funny.
Yeah, officially he is being removed as starter from my quarterback as of next week.
For fantasy.
Yes. Because Andy Dalton, and we'll get kind of skipping down the list, but Andy Dalton scored 30 points in fantasy yesterday. He was just absolutely tearing it up against...
Well, it helps when his star receiver has 10 catches for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Absolutely disgusting.
I am just
enamored. He's just nuts. And I think one of the bigger takeaways from this game too is the Ravens 0-3 coming in
first
this year.
Time ever in their team's existence that they have ever been 0-3. How ridiculous is that? Not as ridiculous as dropping 51 points on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but honestly, at this point, everybody knew New England was going to win that game.
Right.
So I was not surprised by that. I think Oakland beating Cleveland was a little surprising.
A little bit.
Not a lot, but a little bit.
I think that, and I actually, I don't know, checked this, but maybe not with the Manning brothers, but a new brother duel in quarterback started.
Yeah, the McCowns.
The McCown brothers, probably one of the not so decent recognizable
Can't say I
brothers.
was on the edge of my seat to see how that...
but they both got the loss.
Yeah.
Raiders.
Josh had the better day. Luke did not play good at all.
No, the Saints really need their golden boy Drew Brees back.
They need more than just Drew Brees.
Yeah, they need a lot more than him. But so going back to the Raiders and the Browns game, and you mentioned it before the show when the show started.
Yeah.
That the Cleveland Browns fans were cheering for Johnny during the game, and yes, I also saw that. So, Baxter, do you think that the Browns should start Johnny Manziel next week?
I think they never should have brought Josh McCown back from concussion protocol. I think that they won.
Leave him there.
Well, not necessarily that, but I feel
we don't want
because him of how poorly Josh McCown. Obviously, Josh McCown got hurt, but then they brought in Johnny Manziel. They won their first game, and then they brought him in, and he didn't play last week, and then they brought him back again this week, and they still went with Josh again this week.
Yeah, and somebody asked if Johnny was hurt. Yes, he was, but he was cleared to play this week.
Yeah,
they clearly chose to put McCown over Manziel going into this week.
Yeah, if there was one of the few games that surprised me this week, it would be the Jets and Eagles game. As we saw, the Eagles get their first win of the year, 24-17. Darren Sproles, that one guy. I had two misses yesterday on my fantasy team. I dropped Darren Sproles this week, and I'm like, he's not going to get the ball much. Yeah. And then, DeMarco's not playing. Oh well, I already dropped him.
Yeah, I had a couple whiffs too. I was like, Gurley got cleared like an hour before, right before, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be the schmuck that misses like his 256 touchdown opening NFL career game. So I'm like, why not? And he gets 9 yards. So
it's not as bad as me leaving Joseph Randle and
C
plus
10. My whole team is a whiff. I need 13 points from Crosby tonight to at least tie
Hey, that's possible though.
Well, he got 15 last week, but my entire team was just the definition of the struggle. But yeah, like you were saying, I I was really surprised that the Jets didn't take away that game from the Eagles, make the Eagles 0-3, especially how the Jets have come out the first two games of the season.
Look at the stat
shocked
line.
Some people.
If you're the Eagles, look at the stat line for this game. Your quarterback, Sam Bradford, threw for 118 yards and 1 touchdown, and then Ryan Matthews ran for 20 yards and had the lone rushing touchdown.
I did not put Ryan Matthews in, and I should have. I don't know why I didn't, seeing as that they weren't going to play DeMarco Murray for the game. They benched him for the game. I think he had some quote-unquote injury issue, but I don't know.
Quote-unquote.
I don't know with that. So I should have been like, oh, so they'll probably be playing Ryan Matthews. Because before, he maybe got like 10 touches combined the first 2 games. So, should have put him in, but that's a conversation for another time, I guess.
Exactly.
But yes, the Eagles taking out the Jets 24-17, their first win of the season.
Kelly won't be fired as quickly, no.
I don't think they should fire him.
They won't, no.
I think give it time. Give it time. He's a smart man. Like we mentioned before, the Texans getting their first win of the season over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ryan Mallett can win a game. Who'd have guessed?
It's not really Ryan Mallett. It's more Alfred Blue with 31 carries, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Jameis Winston, he went 17 for 36, 261 yards, and a touchdown.
So bad.
Not horrible, not great.
The level of consistency is starting to happen.
He's not the worst quarterback we've seen in the NFL. He can stay consistent. Then moving on to one of the bigger games, I think, of this week, the Minnesota Vikings taking out the San Diego Chargers 31-14. Your boy Adrian Peterson mounting another 100-plus yard game with 2 touchdowns this week.
Let's go.
On 20 carries.
Did Phillip Rivers get hurt in this game? Because from the stat lines that I'm reading, I don't see any stats with him. So
I didn't
know if you had heard or not. At least the app that I'm using to look at the stats, there's nothing for
Phillip Rivers. I see
Philly.
Here got 21. He was 21 of 34 for 246 yards and a touchdown.
That's weird.
And
this app I'm using,
I think some interceptions, but the way I'm looking at the stats, they don't show me any interceptions. So if you're like, oh, he had interceptions, they sometimes always don't show me the interceptions.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good win for Minnesota, though.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out their team going forward, and if you're...
And he had 1 interception, just so you know.
And maybe he did leave with an injury or something, but because I had stats for Kellen Clemens as well, so I don't know for sure if that meant that Phillip got hurt or not. So if you're Minnesota, though, that's a good win for you. That puts you solely in second place in the NFC North, and they're starting to live up to the hype of what people think that they're actually good at doing.
Well, and especially since the first week of the season did not go so well. You had a bunch of hype. You're like, people aren't talking enough about us, and they should, and we're going to come out and show them. And then they just lay an egg. But then these last 2 weeks, they're actually proving that they can be a team that can be reckoned with.
Exactly. Speaking of teams that can be reckoned with, the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills dropping over 40 points on their respective opponents. The Cardinals 47-7 against the 49ers, 2 pick sixes, 4 total interceptions. If you had the Cardinals defense in fantasy football yesterday, I'm sure probably have won your game by this point. Similar with Buffalo as well, as they went 41-14 against the Miami Dolphins. Not exactly the game I thought it was going to be.
No, Miami is just not as good as we thought they were going to be. We thought they were going to put up a little bit more of a fight, but it just didn't seem that they did. But the Cardinals, if you are looking for a team, because the Green Bay Packers have been kind of, at the beginning of the season, the high favorite in the NFC, the Cardinals, you just have to look how much they have been dominating.
They look really good.
The 49ers don't have much of an offense, and they have kind of a defense, but not nearly as good as they did last season, of course, as we all know. And if you can hold any team to 7 points, that's pretty darn good. But then to go and drop 47 on them, that's just great.
Makes it a massive statement. I think that makes a terrific statement. And if you're Arizona, too, you're thrilled because your backup running back, that used to be one of the marquee running backs in the NFL, who is now your starter because of an injury, Chris Johnson ran for over 100 yards yesterday and 2 touchdowns. I think we got to see some flashes of the old Tennessee Titans Chris Johnson, and now that he's on a fairly good team, everyone's like, he's a good running back. I knew that. I did know that. It's been a while since we've seen him. But Larry Fitzgerald, the man is ageless. 2 touchdowns again yesterday. Over 134 yards receiving. What just a terrific overall performance from Arizona.
Just to watch him go down the field, like you said, he's ageless. At his age, he's getting up there.
He is.
And for him to be able to still run down the field as fast as he can, get up and grab the ball, you would think he's just getting into the NFL.
Yeah.
The man just doesn't quit. He is a tank.
I would have to agree with you on that one. And then we briefly hit on that Seahawks game as they dropped 26 on the Bears. Chicago going from bad to worse.
Okay.
Maybe.
So with the Bears, I gotta calm down, relax.
Figure it out.
All right.
Your moment.
So at half, the Seahawks only had 2 field goals. The Bears almost could have gotten a score with a punt went off of a Seahawks player, and they reviewed it, and they didn't overturn it because not enough video evidence, which I thought was a load of bull because it looked like it redirected off a guy's ankle to me. But the Bears actually, once again, had a great game plan, but didn't necessarily have the players to execute. For example, so the Bears defense actually did really, really well this game, holding at half the Seahawks to 6 points and then only letting 20 in the second half. Holding the Seahawks to 26 points isn't horrible. That's pretty decent. But the offense is what needed the help. They punted 10 times.
And you're not going to win a game when you punt 10 times. So
they literally did nothing with the ball. They punted every single possession.
Exactly.
But they didn't turn the ball over, which is great.
That's a step back. That's actually a step in the right direction. So if you're a Seattle fan, you got your first win of the year. You're thrilled about it. And then late last night, the Sunday night game, Denver taking out the Detroit Lions 24-12. Peyton Manning played a fairly good game, but his receivers helped him a lot. And just Matthew Stafford was not looking good in that game. So Broncos moved to 3-0. Lions dropped to 0-3. We will be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant, you know what time it is, don't you?
Woo-hoo!
Is it game time?
I wish.
Is it? I don't know what exactly.
I wish we could play soccer again. You weren't there yesterday because you were at the wedding, but our fall soccer league, we had a lot of fun yesterday.
That's what I heard. You guys had a great time playing. So.
Yeah, I found out that I'm not a really good goal scorer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
especially
everyone has their position.
Well, because I still have kind of not cool cough, and then I was just forgot my water, and I was kind of dehydrated, and I played the field for 2 hours, and I'm normally the goalie.
Good Lord!
So I'm just
what position did you play on the field?
The person that tried. I'd say I'm more of a forward than anything because I couldn't get back on defense. I was way too tired.
Oh, you got to track back, Grant. Don't leave your team out there.
Yeah, I can't shoot crap, but because we were playing on the super small goals, so there was nowhere to go. And yes, I missed the frame most of the time. But if it was in a bigger goal, I would have made it because I didn't miss by much.
Fair enough.
I didn't miss by much. No, I didn't. I got 3 assists and I got a couple breakaways.
Hey, that's good. That's good. I mean, you got to slowly work.
I got a really good shot off that there was actually just a really good save. Okay, yes, there were a couple really bad shots. I'm not going to lie. There was one that just went flying in the opposite direction. I'm like, All right.
Well, next week we'll have to put you back in the goal then, maybe.
Yeah.
When we resume league play in our fall soccer league.
Just the huge heel-sized blisters on my feet will thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, myself as a forward, I know what it's like. So, well, Grant, it is time for your rant here on the show. Grant gets to rant about something in the sports world for 1 minute, as he does every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So with a minute on the clock, sir, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Ready, go.
Last Friday, one of the Cardinals starting pitchers, Garcia, he went down with only threw 7 pitches into the game, reported shoulder stiffness, couldn't continue the game. So when he walks off the field, he starts walking off the field. But as he walks off the field, he puts his head in his glove. And Baxter, one of the most annoying things of all time is when players put their hands, in my opinion, is when players put their heads in their glove, towels over their head, like buries their head in their body, anything like that. I view it as unprofessional because you look like you're in first grade or lower. You literally look like a 4-year-old that you're about to throw a tantrum. Every time Cam Newton is sitting on the sidelines with a towel over his head, I'm like, take it off. You're an adult. Or like when they're getting carted off the field and they're like, head is hunched over and the towel over your head. I'm like, hold your head high. Jeez, you're a professional player.
Well, I can see the argument on both sides. I know Cam does it to keep his bald head from the sun so he doesn't get a sunburned head. That's why he usually puts a towel over it. He usually has a wet towel to cool him off when it's hot out.
Or I'm not going to say what I was thinking. Anyway, continuing on from that, he looks like he's just extremely immature. Well, at least when I watch him.
Maybe they're embarrassed, too, that they let their team down, or maybe they're just not happy with their performance.
What happened with Friday, it was like, well, so what? Take it like a man. Jeez.
Some people aren't like that, though.
What are you, 5? Well, you're a 20-plus, 30-plus-year-old man. I think you can handle it. This is a game when you boil it down.
Well, it is, honestly. Yes. But do you know what it's like to pitch in the major leagues and let your team down, though?
No, but he didn't let the team down. I think they still ended up winning the game for 1. I don't remember now. Don't quote me on that. But 2, it was right in the first inning, and he had shoulder stiffness. There's nothing that you can do about that. And they were saying that it was looking like he was going to. They kind of had an idea of the injury before the game, but they were going to see how it went. And if he said, like, no, I don't want to push it anymore, they're like, fine, that's okay. Sit, rest for the playoffs. Because the Cardinals have already clinched the playoffs.
It's just a lot of people that you let down at the end of the day. I mean, people are making comments on Twitter or on Periscope saying you let down, 20-plus players and 10-plus coaches, thousands of fans. And just getting injured after only 7 pitches,
I think
that's got to be hard.
I think that'd be acceptable. You can't help injury like most of the time, unless
he probably felt bad for
unless it's firework related. But yeah, if you have ever seen the pictures,
snippets,
they're a little
really left.
They're a little nasty. But yeah, I can see where you're disappointed. But to me, you look like you're 5. When you do that, when you bury your face in your glove. Yeah, I can see that you're upset, but you don't have to act like a little crybaby when you do it.
Fair enough. No, I can see it from both aspects, but I'm sure he was probably just more upset about the fact that he was so excited to play for the game, because as a starting pitcher in the big leagues, it's a big deal. You're like, I'm going to pitch, and then you go out after 7 pitches. I'd be pretty mad about that and pretty upset and be like, guys, I'm sorry. You put all this faith in me, and my shoulder's not having it today. So.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to, print off a life-size picture of your mom and cry into it.
Well, I don't know why anybody would want to do that.
You would just buck up, be a man, walk off the field, and take care of it later.
You
can take care of your frustrations in the bullpen, the locker room. When you're at home, you can text your teammates saying, I'm sorry I let you down. But when you're... somebody just commented that they have done that on Periscope.
Oh,
but you don't have to do it on the field in front of everybody, in front of thousands of fans, and make yourself just look foolish. I just think it's a foolish thing to do.
Fair enough. All right, we'll be right back with Zach Wiener of the Sparks Quotient. You're not going to want to miss the interview. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show. I have the opportunity now to be speaking with someone whose website we use a lot here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You'll often hear Grant and I using some of his Sports Quotient articles and quizzes on the show. And we found an opportunity in his busy schedule to have the opportunity to speak with the CEO and founder of the Sports Quotient, Zach Weiner. Zach, welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for having me, Baxter. It's always encouraging to hear that you guys are reading our stuff, and that's great to hear, so I'm thrilled to be on the show.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, we really enjoy all the content that your dedicated writers and staff continue to put out. And one thing that Grant and I, my co-host, and I love to do is we love taking your S quizzes. They always seem to stump us, and then there's a few times we're like, oh, I didn't realize I knew that. So your website kind of has it all, but for those that don't know what the Sports Quotient is, why don't you give us a little backstory of how the idea came to fruition?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I would love to. So we actually just celebrated our third anniversary. I started the site when I was a junior at the University of Pennsylvania. And originally I actually had a radio show at Penn. That's how I kind of got started in the sports media space. Wow. And and I loved doing it. And I didn't want to stop doing that, but I did want to kind of expand to other forms, other mediums. And I realized that, with radio, it could be me and a couple of co-hosts or, a co-host just like you do. But I wanted to create a place where, I could do it with a bunch of different friends. So I started up, it was really just a basic blog site. It was like we'd read one article after another. We published a couple a day. And pretty soon we realized that there were a lot of college kids out there that really knew what they were talking about and wanted to present some analysis and present their opinions to the world and didn't really have a platform to do it. So that's really kind of the premise of the Sports Quotient, giving, some of the younger fans an opportunity to have a voice in the world of sports media. And yeah, like I said, it really resonated with a lot of different students. We took on recent college grads as well and high school kids. And, the principle all along being, we want to keep the quality of content as high as possible and make sure that every single article that we produce, is high value, and that every reader is getting something out of it. So, we continue to expand, and now we're up to over 200 writers at 80 universities, and, along the way, we've added other elements to the site. So, we have a podcast section, a video section, and then, of course, we have S-Quiz, which you mentioned a couple of times, which is a way for, readers to engage with the site and, answer quiz questions and get their own sports quotient, their own sports IQ. And there's a leaderboard. And so, we think that kind of gamifies it in a sense and makes it really fun.
Absolutely, yeah. Just looking around the website, like you mentioned, there are multiple different ways for readers and fans just in general of your site to get involved. I think that from a standpoint, I would say you guys mostly focus on writing articles. You have a lot of different sections from what I'm noticing here. You've got all the big ones, NFL, MLB, soccer. You dive into some college stuff as well. You do have a section dedicated just to tennis, though, so I was a little surprised by that. Do you guys have that many tennis writers on your site?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, people actually often ask, do you cover mostly college sports because it's mostly college students? And it's funny because we actually, we do cover college sports, and you certainly can get the coverage at Sports Quotient, but I would say we actually cover more professional sports because what I found is, kids go to college and they move from the city that they lived in, and now they're in a new city and they don't have fans to talk about their professional teams with, and, if they wanted to write about their college, maybe they'd write for their newspaper. So we've found that professional sports people really like to write about, and tennis is I wouldn't say it's chief amongst them, but yeah, certainly we have a lot of interest in kids wanting to write about tennis. And, of course, it's fairly seasonal, and when there isn't a Grand Slam going on, there might not be as much coverage. But sure, certainly during the Grand Slams, we do roundtables and stuff like that, and we certainly try to produce content around it.
Interesting. Wow. Like you said, there's so many different things that this website can do, and there's ways for people to sign up for weekly newsletters as well, so they can get more content in case they don't have the time to log on to the site. What would you say is one of your favorite parts of the site? Something that every time something new gets added to it, you're like, I got to be the first one to look at. And I know as the CEO and founder, you do have a lot of opportunities to do that. But is there one section that kind of has a special place in your heart on the site?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, every time I go to the site, they say that when you build something, a lot of times you kind of build it for yourself. You build a product that you feel that that doesn't exist in the market, and you want it, and you create it. And so I absolutely feel that way. Every time I go to the Sports Quotient, I'm thinking like, wow, I created this, I wanted a site where I could read sports analysis from a new generation and hear new opinions, and that's absolutely what I get. So any piece that's on there that's different, that's what I really love. Obviously, we do, our season previews and our roundtables and stuff like that. But when I see a piece that hyper focuses on a specific player and breaks him down and goes into shot charts and efficiency and stuff like that, that's what I really like to see, because I know that type of stuff is not available anywhere else on the internet.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. We're speaking with the CEO and founder of the Sports Quotient, Zach Weiner, here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Zach, obviously you've had great success in your 3 years of existence, but you seem like a very forward-thinking guy. What is next for the Sports Quotient?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we're always focused on is growing audience. We feel like we're at a really good point in terms of content, that we produce a lot of high-quality content every single day. And for us, the big thing is getting the word out there. So, a lot of what we do is on social. So, on Twitter, we have 40,000 Twitter followers, tens of millions of people, potentially each month see our tweets, which is really big for us. But we want to expand, social we're naturally good at, because a lot of these kids are college students. They're very active. But, now we're working on partnerships. We recently signed a deal with Fox Sports, which was a big deal.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it's been exciting. And for us, we're really open to anything that our readers want, and ways to acquire more readers as well.
Now, you mentioned that partnership with Fox Sports. What exactly does that entail for you guys?
Sure. So essentially, we spoke with Fox, and what we wanted to do was really just increase the distribution of our content. We wanted to get our name out there and get more people reading it. So sometimes when you go on Fox Sports now, or when you go on some of their other properties, they also work with MSN. You'll see that they actually syndicate a lot of content. So they don't create all their own content. They find really high quality partners from around the web, and they say, here's the article, you can read it on our site, but it's brought to you by the Sports Quotient. And for us, that's a win-win, because part of our mission statement is to just get the content out there. We want our writers to be read. We think it's high quality stuff, and then of course, if they like it, we're hoping that they come to our site to find more of it.
Absolutely. Now, aside from the Sports Quotient, which you've had a lot of success with, you find your time being filled with another exciting adventure, an app called Overtime. I know what Overtime is because I've participated on it for a while, but the people that are sports fans that don't know about Overtime is what is it? How can you explain it better for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I kind of consider both Sports Quotient and Overtime somewhat a democratization of sports coverage. So, the idea with Sports Quotient was to give college students a voice to write, let's say 1,000-word articles, or produce, video segments or podcasts. And the idea with Overtime is almost taking that to the next level. So, not just college students, everyone can participate. And, you don't have to take the time to sit down and write an 1,000-word article, or produce an hour-long podcast. And don't get me wrong, those things are great.
Yeah.
And I never want to get rid of them. That's why I never gave Sports Quotient up. But, if you look at the way that young people are consuming media, and what they want to do is they want to jump right in. They want to see the highlights. They want to post their GIF or their meme, and they want to have conversation. And they want to do it in a fun way. So that's what Overtime is really about. It's really taking all the fun stuff about sports, the debate, the highlights, and really putting that onto a platform where you can trash talk and you can form community. And, a lot of different companies have tried to do this, and they haven't really been successful. It's clear that there's a need for this in the market. And we've done a lot of things through, our user experience, and we've talked to a lot of people about what they would want in a sports app. And what we have right now in the App Store is really, a combination of everything that we've heard and implemented.
Wow, that is fantastic. I mean, you guys have the mobile app, which is available on just the iPhone. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Hopefully Android soon. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm sure with all the coding and the development and all that, it takes a little while to get it over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's stuff that's way over my head, but I understand that.
Me as well. I'll tell you Baxter.
Exactly. Now, it looks like you guys have a website version, but not to the same extent of what you can do on the app. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So, we originally thought about maybe not having a website at all. And if you look at Instagram's website, it's very, very, very basic, and that's on purpose. Obviously, Instagram has the resources to have one of the best websites in the world if they wanted to, but they really want to draw people to the app. And, there are a bunch of reasons for that. For us, the main reason was that our content creation tools, so, our ability to create highlight videos, our GIF library, all the stuff that you can do on our app or draw on photos, that type of stuff isn't possible or it just doesn't work as well on the web. Mm-hmm. So for us, we originally thought maybe let's not have a website at all so that people will come on our app and create the content. But, eventually we realized, not everyone wants to be a content creator. Not everyone wants to join the conversation. Some people just kind of want to observe and see what's going on. So on our website, you do get a good, we put a lot of work into it, and you do get a good experience, and you can, watch all the videos, and you can see what people are saying. But the missing element is you can't join the conversation. There's no way to interact with the media when you're on the website, whereas opposed on the app, you don't have to, of course, but you have that flexibility. If you want to join the conversation, add a comment, or if you want to upload your own video or whatever it is, you're able to do that on the app itself.
That is fantastic. Yeah, I can definitely tell the difference between, I'm looking at the app and the website at the same time right now. And it's nice to have a little bit of a bigger version at times of things on the website.
Absolutely.
But it's nicer to have the flexibility, like you said, to draw on it, to do all these other exciting things and comment. Now, stepping aside from the Sports Quotient, stepping back from Overtime, you yourself obviously are a sports fan, because why would you be doing any of this if you didn't like sports?
Yeah, my life would be miserable.
Unless I'm completely been misled by all of this, but I doubt that. So I'm curious to know who you follow as a sports fan. You have to have a favorite team somewhere or a favorite league that you are just an absolute fan of, or even maybe a nerd of because of how obsessed you are with that team or league.
Sure, yeah. So I was born and raised in New York. So I'm a fan of an interesting combination of New York teams. So I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm a Jets fan, which you don't get that combination a lot.
Ooh, okay.
And then I'm a Knicks and Rangers fan. But in terms of it's interesting. Ever since I started working in sports, I think actually I've become less of a fan of my team purely and more just a fan of the sport. Like I love the league. Like I just love the NBA. I love the NFL. I can watch any game and still enjoy it. So. It's funny, you'd think that working in sports would make you more passionate of a fan for your team, but I talk to fans of so many teams and I see that their passion is just the same. It's kind of cool to get immersed into all the different teams and the different flavors.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you on that one. I just made that realization I was talking with a friend the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm so diehard for this team," and I'm like, and they're like, don't you, I was doing a broadcast talking about how Jay Cutler is actually not as bad of a quarterback as people think he is, and people are like, "Oh, but you're a Packers fan," and they were attacking me, and I was like, well, it's different because yes, on Sunday afternoons I sit down and I watch my beloved Green Bay Packers because I've been born and raised to love them. But like you said, now that you're in the media world, the sports media world, you learn to appreciate the league as a whole. You learn to appreciate players for who they are. You step back and take the rivalries out of it because 95% of what you do on a daily basis is all focused on the league and not specifically on your one team. So it's nice to see that there's other people out there that share that, and I've met people along the way, but to hear it reiterated again makes me feel not as crazy. So I appreciate that, Zach.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Zach, I really appreciate your time today. Zach Weiner is the CEO and founder of The Sports Quotient. Go check it out, thesportsquotient.com. And he is also the editor-in-chief and business manager of Overtime. It is an iOS app. Go download it today on Overtime, and you can also check out the website, itsovertime.com. Zach Weiner, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Baxter. Anytime. Happy to be on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, and enjoy your day, man.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. What an awesome guy. So exciting to know that there's so many people in the sports world that are so dedicated to helping grow the sports media world. And Zach Weiner of The Sports Quotient and Overtime, a true testament to that. So we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we've got way more things to talk about here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant, the MLB playoff race continues to get hot.
Getting kind of nuts.
I've lost my mind because, I don't care a lot about baseball, but I know you have a strong liking and love and passion for it because a lot of games, the only thing I really know is a little bit about baseball is the Central. The National League Central, because the Milwaukee Brewers are in there. I'll follow them just sparingly if I lose a bet and have to cheer for a team. No, the Brewers are not. I enjoy going to games.
The Brewer games are fun.
But aside from that, though, 3 out of the... It's almost like we're looking at the AFC North from last year, for gosh sakes. 3 out of the 5 teams in the NL Central, the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Cubs, have all advanced to the playoffs.
Yeah, somebody said the Brewers won against the Cardinals last night off of a grand slam.
Woo!
Go ahead, grand slam. Made me extremely unhappy because Cardinals have no right losing to a team like the Brewers, especially when they're in such a predicament right now, because I will tell you why this is a problem.
Why is this a problem, Grant?
Because the St. Louis Cardinals, 97-57, have the best record in the MLB right now.
That seems like not a problem to me.
But unfortunately, the second best team in the MLB is in their division.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
So what could happen is that the Cardinals could have been leading the entire season and then go to a playoff game where the Chicago Cubs have Arrieta. Or Arrieta. I'm pretty sure it's Arrieta,
yes,
who had a no-hitter, or perfect game, mind you, going into the 7th inning. So they have a star-studded ace.
They do.
And for the one wild-card playoff game, if the St. Louis Cardinals lose their lead, which they have a 3-game lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, their magic number right now, I believe, is 4. So they need to win 2 and have Pittsburgh lose 2, or they
Pittsburgh
need to
plays the Cubs this right now, so that is working in their favor.
If the Cubs win again tonight and the Cardinals win again tonight against the Brewers, that means that they will only need 2 more wins, and then the huge series they go into, I believe they go into Pittsburgh next week. All I know is they play Pittsburgh the next series.
That's going to be crazy.
So it is a huge series, but also everybody else in the National League is for the most part clinched up. The Chicago Cubs have been knocked out of winning the division, so they have no chance of winning the division in the Central. So they have solidly locked up a wild card spot, but that is the first time they have made the playoffs. I believe it was since 2008. So that's a big deal for the Cubs getting back into the playoffs, and certainly not. This is not the beginning of the end. This is just the beginning for them, because they have a star-studded team with their new rookie, his name is escaping my mind for some reason, but he's pretty much unanimous Rookie of the Year people are talking about. And Arrieta, like we mentioned before, now 21 wins, one of the best pitchers in the game right now. So the Cubs definitely still looking good, even though it's only a wild card spot right now, but not looking too bad. Looking elsewhere.
How are the Mets? What do you think of the Mets in the NL East?
The Mets pretty much have it down on lock. Washington Nationals, they cannot.
It seems like they can't put together a consistent streak of wins.
I think what needs to happen is, they've just been struggling. 78 and 75. The Nationals cannot lose a game, and the Mets have to lose every single game.
Yes.
I believe that's the only possible way for the Nationals to make it into the playoffs. Now, looking at the National League West, we have the LA Dodgers, who have actually been kind of slipping as of late. They are 4 of 6 in their last 10 games. Right now, they're playing the Colorado Rockies, which they lost, unfortunately, even though the Rockies are one of the worst teams in baseball right now at 64-90. Clearly have been eliminated from playoff contention.
Plenty of time.
But the LA Dodgers, their magic number right now is 2.
So the Giants are 6 games back.
This website does look a little bit off from what I've been reading, because it's saying that the Cubs still have a chance of making it into the division, and I'm like, you really don't have the.
Well, how many games are left?
Not many. But all I know
Cubs
is
are 8
that
back, 7.5 back.
I think that the Giants might be eliminated from playoff contention.
How insane is that? If they won last year's World Series, didn't they? San Francisco Giants?
Yes. Yes, they did. They did win. They did win last year.
And if they were to get eliminated, how would there be an uprising? Is that I don't understand.
Yeah,
I know in other sports it's a big deal when the last year's champion doesn't make the playoffs, but in baseball, since you have so many games to get in,
San Francisco still has a chance, but officially the Nationals have been eliminated from the playoff contention. So yes, found a little bit more of an updated site, but the Giants are 6 games behind. They really can't lose any games. They cannot afford. They have ESPN.com says they have a 0.1% chance of
that's fine.
Making the playoffs. The LA Dodgers have a 99.7% chance.
So. I love how the teams that have made the playoffs have a 100% chance.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
glad we're all on the same page.
They do.
That,
they have a 100% chance of making it. Now, looking over to the American League, because I know that you guys want me to give the American League some love.
The Blue Jays.
Yeah, looking over in the East Division, we have the Toronto Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.
Who have clinched their division over the New York Yankees. That was the only team that was
seriously challenging
them.
Yeah,
it's challenging them. But the Yankees look like they have the first wild card spot, home field advantage for the wild card game, pretty much wrapped up. So that's good, but the Orioles, the Rays, and the Red Sox all have been eliminated from playoff contention over there. We'll get into the wild card chase in the American League in a little bit. But looking at the divisional races, we have the Central. Kansas City Royals have claimed the Central Division. So, and I don't actually, looking at it, the Toronto Blue Jays technically do not have the division locked up. Sorry about that. But the New York Yankees are 4 games back, so they still have a chance, but they have a little bit of ground to make up.
We've seen that Yankee magic happen before, though.
The Yankees still have not technically clinched playoffs, but they're looking pretty good. I wouldn't be too freaked out if you're a Yankees fan. They just can't drop every single game. Yeah. But they're 5-5 in the last 10 games. I don't see them missing the playoffs, so I wouldn't be too concerned if you're a Yankees fan. Kansas City Royals, however, they have clinched their division.
10 games above the Minnesota Twins. Not really worried about that at all.
Yes, but the Twins, don't count them out. They're only a game and a half behind in the wild card chase right now. So yeah, the wild card chase is looking that one's good. That one's really good. Now the Houston Texans have just in the West.
Think about what you just said?
Yeah, not the Houston Astros. The
Houston Astros.
Yes, there's a Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers.
That's what you wanted to say.
That's what I wanted to say. The Texas, not the Houston Texans. Oh, jeez.
They're so bad at football, they switched sports.
Yeah, they did. Now I was looking at the Astros and I saw Houston. It was just a mess. The Texas Rangers have kind of ran away with the American West Division. They have a 4.5 game lead over the Houston Astros and a 5-game lead
2.5
over. Oh, looking at the wrong website. I should not be looking at that
Texas
one.
Texas got a 2.5
clearly
game
not
lead
good
over
for
the
me.
Houston Astros,
You shouldn't tell me to look at these websites because they're clearly not good for my mental health.
You were the one that went to that side. I was on this other side.
Well, I'm sorry that MLB.com is not good. Apparently,
you should just know that ESPN is.
Apparently, MLB.com is not worth.
It is
not worth anybody's time.
No,
apparently.
But you look at that West, though. I mean, there's 3 teams that have an opportunity. I mean, the Los Angeles Angels, they are 3 games out of first. The Astros are 2.5 games out of first, and the Rangers are holding on to it barely.
I found out the problem.
What's your
problem? By the way, it was set on the 25th of September for whatever reason.
Lots of baseball has been played since that day.
Whatever reason, yes, there has been. Anyway,
now we know.
So the Yankees are 4 games behind.
Suddenly, Grant is
like, "Whoa, Toronto Blue Jays." Thank you. Sorry about that. Jeez,
that happens to the best of us.
Jeez, just a struggle. I apologize. I am just.
Well, briefly, let's hit on what's going on with these wild card teams.
Yeah, the wild card. Yeah, before I just tell you all the wrong information. Yes, Texas Rangers, that's the team, are 2.5 games ahead of the Houston Astros and 3 games of the LA Angels. Looking into the wild card, like we said, New York Yankees have that top spot. Not in the bag. They are 4.5 games ahead of the second wildcard team, which is the Houston Astros. But the Astros only have a half-game lead over the LA Angels, so that race is ridiculously close. And then the Minnesota Twins are only a game and a half behind. Ooh. So they are knocking on the door. They just came off of knocking. They're on a 2-game win streak right now. They just came off of a 7-1 win against Detroit.
Oh, that's big.
And we know Detroit has been eliminated. 72-83 on the season.
Yep.
But looking at the LA Angels, they are doing what it needs to take. They're making their playoff push. 8-2 in the last 10 games on a 5-game win streak right now. So yeah, they're definitely doing what it takes to win. Teams that have been eliminated from the playoffs in the American League: the Tampa Bay Rays, the Seattle Mariners, the Chicago White Sox, the Detroit Tigers, and the Oakland Athletics, Oakland A's.
People call them the A's, not the Athletics.
Yes, but they're
fully written out.
They're still the
Athletics.
But yes, the A's.
Fair enough. Well, the MLB playoff race is continuing to heat up, and as we get a more official picture of what the playoffs are going to look like, make sure to come back and check out the Baxing Grand Sports Show. We'll make sure to hit on it. We're going to go to one more break. When we come back, do quarterbacks need to be protected more, Grant? Seem to have a lot of injuries. We'll be right back. This is the Baxing Grand Sports Show. Welcome back to the Baxing Grand Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Bax.
And this is Grant.
Special announcement for all of you out there that love the Baxing Grand Sports Show. You can get us again. Yes, tonight. You can listen to us live, broadcasting on Spreaker.com from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker.com. Yes. We will be broadcasting live from Moran's Pub in South Milwaukee, as we will be previewing the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs Monday Night Football game. Come on down if you're in the Milwaukee area. Come check out all the awesome drink specials and all the other exciting promotional things that Moran's Pub is going to be doing. Grant and I will be there. We're going to have some other people from the Baxing Grand Sports Show. Staff will be down there. It's just going to be a good time.
Talking about football.
Come talk football with us. Come hang out.
It's going to be
ask
great.
Some questions. Maybe play a game or two on air, depending on what you got going on. But that is 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. tonight, Monday night, tonight here in Milwaukee at Moran's Pub in South Milwaukee.
So if you're in the Milwaukee area, come check us out.
Hit us up.
Yeah, come meet us. We'd love to talk to you. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm really excited.
I'm looking forward to it.
Our first it's remote broadcast event. So
yes, together.
Well, together. I was not with you when you went down to the ABA conference this summer.
David Kenyon did a swell job as well as my wife and Zach Poppenfuss as well.
Yes, you guys did a great job. I listened to it. It was very good.
Yes, somebody on Periscope asked if we have any bouncers in case the event gets racy. Potentially. Not exactly sure. Not exactly thinking it's going to be a crazy crowd, but
I'll bring my son. He'll bring the smack down.
It's true. He's got a big son. His son's probably going to be like 6'10", like 345.
Oh, he's going to be like, if you've seen videos floating around about that like 7 foot.
7 foot lineman?
Yeah, lineman. Yeah, who's like too slow for his own good. But yeah, he's going to be like that kid.
Start grooming him now. D1, baby.
Bama. Roll Tide.
I was going to say, send him down to Saban. Be like, Coach Saban, got a guy for you. Start scouting him and be like, he's one.
Not even. Look at this. Look at this chub.
Look at this speed. He's got power calves. It's a great explosion off the line. All right. Well, Grant, before we go today, we want to make mention of an issue that's going on in the NFL right now.
Right.
We saw Ben Roethlisberger go down with an injury yesterday, with an MCL injury and a bruised bone as well in his leg. And now Michael Vick steps in as the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh Steelers, which
now picking up Michael Vick doesn't seem like it's totally horrible now, does it? Pittsburgh
so mad. They're like, why would you pick up Michael Vick? And now this is why.
Because Roethlisberger is old. That's
Vick's
why.
Older.
Well, yeah, but still, he doesn't play the entire season. He's your backup. He's okay if he's a little bit older, and he's more of a mobile quarterback. I said mobile again.
I know.
He's more of a mobile quarterback.
Not down in Alabama.
Right.
He's in mobile Alabama.
He's more of a mobile quarterback, so he can take it as more as Roethlisberger.
Yes.
I feel like if he moves an inch, you're going to break him. So, I mean, now I do concerned about Michael Vick's age, but with Ben Roethlisberger being out, it's about 4 to 6 week recovery.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, they're saying. So that asks the question then, Grant. With all these quarterbacks you've seen get hurt early in the season, we saw Tony Romo go down. Mm-hmm. Do NFL quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, need to take more time in the offseason and preseason to get reps so that way their body is more accustomed to what is going to happen during an NFL game, so that way we don't see a lot of these leg injuries?
Well, they were talking about it last night during the Broncos and the Lions game. I believe that's when I heard it. They were talking about how these quarterback injuries have been occurring if you look back at their off-season, preseason workouts, reps, whatnot.
Yes.
If you look, they have been going down.
Yep.
And because of that, you're seeing more greater injury. So the man that was talking, yes, and C+10 on Periscope makes a good point, is that Roethlisberger's injury would have been really hard to prevent because of how much torque that his knee went through. His knee just went took a bad angle. But kind of looking at, I know this isn't a quarterback, but looking at Jordy Nelson and a lot of these non-contact ACL tears. And I read an article saying that if teams just alter their workout in this way, that you will cut that down by 70% or something like that. And the man talking last night was saying that calling for the league to possibly bump up or make some kind of requirement for how many reps you need to get to protect these quarterbacks. But then the argument is, well, look what happens if we start them or if we play them too much in preseason. Look what happens to some of the players.
Yeah.
Look what happened to Jordy Nelson for the Packers. Look what happened to Pouncey for the Steelers.
Yep.
Look what happened to all these great starters that started preseason, tried to get these reps.
And with injuries, you never know. I mean, you saw, was it 2 years ago, one of the great Dallas Cowboy linebackers, Sean Lee, first day of team practice, no pads, no nothing. I think it was tore his ACL, done for the year.
Same
first
thing,
day of practice, just running through drills.
It's like Jared Abbrederis.
How are you supposed to know?
Yeah, it's so hard to prevent those kind of things.
It is, but I think because there's been so many guys, we lost Jay Cutler, you lost Drew Brees. Brees will be back sooner rather than later, but you've lost Romo, you've lost Roethlisberger. Matthew Stafford is barely being held together. He's got a really sore rib. He walked off the field last night with a lot of right rib pain. You see some of these bigger quarterbacks in the league that continue to get hurt. And you just wonder. I mean, Geno Smith, that's his own fault. He was just being stupid and got punched in the face. But you just hear about all these guys that keep getting hurt. And as a quarterback, those are the lifeblood of these organizations. The only way these teams win a game is if their quarterback is in the game. So the fact that they're losing these players, like you said, it's an interesting debate. They can go a few different ways.
Right.
I think maybe the rep increase should be just a little bit more because you want these guys to – I mean, Aaron Rodgers barely played preseason. We saw that. But, I mean, yes, he's a smart guy. He's still younger. He's still in shape. But we're noticing it with some of these older, quote-unquote, older guys that are getting hurt a wee bit more.
And C+10 on Periscope makes a good point. He's saying that the only difference between a preseason injury and a season injury is the pre that's in the word.
Exactly.
So it's
still part of the season.
Right. It's really hard to prevent any kind of injury like that. So what do you bump up practice time, but we still see players get injured in practice time, like you were saying before. So is there some like, can you really do that, or do you just at some point just have to grasp the fact that yes, injuries happen. Let's get over it. Let's not try to overanalyze this, and it's just a really bad time to be a quarterback right now, apparently. And do we just have to face that fact?
Exactly, and I feel like no matter what precautions might be taken, injuries are still going to happen.
Right.
I mean, for gosh sakes, kickers are getting hurt this year, and the kickers have the easiest job. Right. Walk on the field, kick a ball, walk off. No contact, zero contact.
Oh, who
is it? These guys are still getting hurt.
Who is it yesterday? I think, was it the Dolphins kicker that had food poisoning or something like that?
I don't know.
One of the kickers had food poisoning, and he comes out. Now I don't remember what game it was, but he walks out to kick an extra point, and it gets blocked. And I'm like, oh, jeez. I feel so sorry for the guy because he's like, if you get past 50, I don't know how well I'm going to be. But he's like, fine, I'll go kick this extra point. Walks out. They just block it, just right down his throat. I feel so bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy went to just throw up. And then they just come out the edge. Like, the guy did a poor job blocking the edge and got blocked.
Gotta block the edge, guys. All right, well, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Remember, you can catch us tonight, a special edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com. From Moran's Pub, we will be talking all things Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs ahead of the Monday Night Football game. We will be at Moran's Pub in South Milwaukee. Most days, though, you can catch us Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. And then from 11 to 1 p.m. Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com, live 365 and tune in. And then on demand anytime you want on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spreaker.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can also go and find us on Twitter and Instagram at BG Sports Show. Baxter is on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Grant Brandt BGSS.
Absolutely. And remember, if you ever want to get a hold of the show, feel free to shoot us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition. We'll see some of you tonight. We'll see most of you tomorrow morning, though, again, for another edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Thanks for tuning in. He's Grant. I'm Bax. We'll see you all tomorrow.